Well, hello friends. I'm going to try and get started with a new way of handling specific tokens with the OpenID Connect middleware I've built. I've tried this a couple of times before, but haven't really succeeded in a way I liked. And now with a better way of handling generic claims in the middleware, I hope this will be a lot easier. The kind of tokens I'm going to try and handle is the opaque tokens. That means that they are not structured tokens like JWTs or JWTs. Alright, let's get started. I'm not sure where to begin. It was a while I worked with this, but let's just start somewhere and see what happens. If I remember correctly, we have the OIDC here, so perhaps we should build something like it, but to handle the opaque tokens. I know we've built tests that support opaque tokens. So the test framework for this library should be able to issue tokens at least. I'm not sure exactly where to start, but let's just do something. So let's start with opaque.go. Let's start there and let's build a test. If we look at the OIDC, we have a handler, and then we create a new handler, and then we parse the token using that handler. So we perhaps can get started by doing something like that. We'll create a new handler. Let's call that opaque handler. And now we won't be using JW keys or the public keys anymore. We're not going to do any kind of signature validation. We won't have any token type or audience. We won't have any key IDs. We will have an HTTP client. We won't have a key handler. We will most likely have a claims validation function. And let's new opaque handler. I'm not sure what we're taking, but I think we should do exactly the same as we did with the other one. So we'll take claims validation function and setters, and perhaps we should have some kind of opaque option instead, and we will be returning an opaque handler. So we will, let's try that, and we most likely need to define T as well, so let's do it here. And we need to define the opaque option. So let's go to the options. Perhaps we'll just copy, paste the option, rename it opaque options, and we shouldn't need all these anymore. We do need an opaque option. We do have an issuer, or perhaps we should just focus on the discovery. I think we should let it be like that. We don't have anything to do with the JWT in public keys, nothing with signatures. Token drift shouldn't be something we're using. So let's remove that from there as well. We shouldn't be lazy loading the public keys. We don't require token type or audience anymore. We don't have key ID or issuer validation. Token string. That's how we extract the token string. That should be fine like that. Claims context key name should be kept here. New opaque. We should call that opaque option, and that should return an opaque options. And let's look at what is an option. There we go. An opaque option is a function that takes opaque options. Something like that should be fine. And now we should, let's see here, with opaque issuer. Right, let's do something like that. Let's do it func with, rename that func with opaque. Just make sure that we see all the errors. Alright, so we still have the issuer. We should fix all of these as well. That should be pay options, and they should be returning something like that. Opaque option. Now we should see which ones we're not using anymore. Let's remove those. Alright, we have the opaque options now. Perhaps we should just build a small test for that as well. Just to make sure we have something for it. Opaque options test. Test opaque options. Let's remove the ones we're not using. Some something like that, and opaque. We shouldn't have to, well, let's not change it too much right now. We have all the width, opaque, with opaque token string, and let's remove the ones we're not using. Opaque option. Result. How does that look in the other test? Options. So that should be with an S. And let's just run the test, see if it works. Yeah, seems fine. Alright, so we've added the opaque options. Let's just commit them. Git add options, add initial opaque options. Alright, we go back to the opaque handler. And if we look at the other handler, we're creating it like this. So first we create options new setters, alright. New opaque. We get the options. That's alright. And now let's create the handler. I'm not sure how we're defining that. Yeah, that's the way. We'll just do opaque handler T. And should that be a reference? It should, alright. And we'll just do issuer as options.issuer. We'll do, I'm not sure we're going to use the issuer because the only interesting thing actually is the discovery URI, but perhaps we'll just use the same logic for both of them. Discovery URI is options. Discovery URI, discovery fetch timeout is options.discovery fetch timeout. HTTP client is options HTTP client, and claims validation function is options claims. Oh no, that's just claims validation function. And if all that goes well, we should be returning that and nil. Right. So that should mean that we have our opaque handler, and this opaque handler should it should parse token. So in this case we have the parse token. I'm thinking or going to use the exact same name to begin with. perhaps we should use something else, but perhaps we should use something else for both of them in that case. So let's start something like this. Opaque handler. And just see what happens. So we should be key handler. We don't have that anymore. Token headers. We don't have any token. Token type valid. Can't check it. Key ID. Can't have one. Token algo. Can't have one. Key. Can't have one. Signatures. No. Get and validate token from string. We should have something like that, but valid expiration, valid issuer, valid audience. So we should have a small function, introspect token, something like that. So we should do an introspection of the token, and we should pass the token string, and we should return an error in kind of like unable to introspect the token, something like that. And we should have validate claims, and validate claims can most likely be exactly the same as we had before. That could be opaque handler. If it's nil, return nil. If it's not nil, return it, run it, and return if there's an error. And that also means we should do something like introspect token. We should just take something like that, and we actually want to return the claims from this. And we can't do it like that, we need to do it like that. Alright. So now we have just like the beginning of something. Let's see what we can do with this. So we create a new handler. The handler has a parse token. We introspect the token, and the token introspection should return the claims. And we validate the claims if possible. Sure. Let's create a test for that. Test opaque handler. So the first thing we do is creating a handler, new opaque handler, and what kind of we have to figure out what kind of claims we should be looking at. Let's see. OIDC test. Let's see what we're using here. New. New handler. Yeah, there we go. Test claims. Go to definition. Right, we're just using this. That's fine with me. Let's continue. Test claims. And what kind of... what is it? Test claims. Or just passing nil to begin with. That's fine as well. So let's go back to Opaque test. Passing nil. And we need to pass the issuer here. Options with opaque issuer perhaps. And now we need to look at how we start the test server. We start the test server using optest dot perhaps not op server new testing. Server. Oh, we're using some old one here. I wonder in how many places we're using this one. One place. Alright, we shouldn't be using that one. But it's only one place here as well. So let's do optest.new testing t. And we want to write, so there should be returning op get token. Let's see. Get token t ID token perhaps we would just need to do it like that. I wonder if this test still runs. Let's see. It does. That's awesome. Let's perhaps just commit that to make sure that we're not using the old test framework. Change tests to use optest. Alright. Well, let's go back to the tests then. Optest.new testing t. And perhaps we need to pass it something later, but let's start with something. Defer opt close. And we should then have the opt.get URL, perhaps with opaque options string get URL. It should return a string. So what's the problem? Returns 2. Oh. Require no error tr, like that. issuer as get URL. And we need to tell it to use Opaque tokens. Test with Opaque access tokens. True. Or perhaps we shouldn't have true there. Alright. So we tell it to use Opaque access tokens with Opaque issuer. The next step should be h.parse token. We should pass it a context. Context with timeout. Perhaps give it 100 milliseconds. Context.background and 100 timed millisecond. That should be fine. Defer cancel. And parse token should give us claims and an error. And if we pass it the context and access token should be op.get token access token. Perhaps we should just use token and we pass it token.access token. And then we just fail here. Let's see what we should do. Require no error tr. We should fail there. Claims dot require equal expected dot. I'm not sure what we should call, but let's say we expect foobar and claims username. We don't have that, but let's just see what happens. Username, okay. Require true, okay. And require foobar username. Right. At least we have something now. That doesn't work, that's awesome. Unable to introspect the token foobar. Perhaps we shouldn't use foobar there. Let's use username. And we should still have foobar there. That means that we're reaching this point now. Alright, let's see. Let's just verify. Foobar 2, alright. We should now do some kind of a nice little fetch to the introspection endpoint. And how do we figure out what the introspection endpoint is? We most likely, we do have the issuer, so that's good. We should be able to figure out the discovery URI based on that. Alright, let's see what we do with another case. Where do we figure out the discovery URI? If issue is empty, yeah, we should just copy paste these. This should let us, if the issue is empty, complain. If the discovery URI is empty, get the discovery URI from the issuer, and the discovery URI should just be this. And after that, we do want to have the introspection endpoint. Yeah, sure. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's create a new request and just send something to see what we get. Yeah, we shouldn't use this one. Well, we can use that in the test here. So let's see. So we will be failing at the parse token. Let's see. Test.new request. We should say method get, and target should be the discovery URI. Right. Discovery URI should be, there we go. And no body. We should do something like that. And then we do res r h.http client do request, and then we do body res.body require no error. I just want to figure out how the metadata looks. Defer require no error, and then we do defer res.body.close. After that, we should be able to do something like discovery metadata and string body. Let's try that. Okay, 34. Request URI can't be set in the client requests. What is going on? Let's print that as well. t.logf discovery URI. That's h.discovery URI. let's see what happens. Alright, here we go. User info endpoint. So we should just go to the user info endpoint and look at that. Then we should do the same thing as we did with base load JWKS, get WKS from discovery URI. Let's start with that at least. Get, and we should do something like, perhaps we just should say get metadata, and make that should most likely be simpler. Get OIDC metadata. And from type IDC metadata is a struct, and it will contain the discovery URI string, and it will contain the user info URI string. Alright. We will have fetch timeout. Yeah, sure. Let's continue with that. We have the discovery from discovery URI, right? We'll return that, and we'll need to return an empty one. JWKS URI. Let's call it user info endpoint. User info endpoint. User info endpoint. Let's start with that. We can remove that, and we'll just do metadata as an empty. Let's see, OIDC metadata, like that. And just not to break anything, we shouldn't be validating anything else than this. Or perhaps we should move that to where it's actually used. Yeah, we should move that. Move that there. Get OIDC metadata. And we should return an error if it's empty. And we should like that. That seems fine. Now we should be able to do something like discovery fetch timeout. Discovery fetch timeout, right? Do we still have discovery fetch timeout in the new one? Yeah, we do. That's awesome. So we should just copy this. Let's skip the lazy loading for now. Get OIDC metadata. We have everything. Enable to fetch and user info endpoint from discovery URI. If user info endpoint is empty, and let's add that user info endpoint string like that. User info endpoint metadata user info endpoint. All right. Let's start with that. Now we have the user info endpoint. That's great. Now we create the request. New request with context. Add the context. Add the context, and then we should do something like what are we requesting here? Method, we'll do get, and we'll do the URI. And no body. If error isn't nil, return. We now have the request. That means we should h.http client do, let's see here. We need to request the content type rec dot header dot set. We should set content type to application JSON rec header set, and we should set the authorization header to, and we should printf as token string, something like that. So we now add the content type application JSON, yeah, and we set the authorization header to the token string. Now we should do the request. Press h.http client do request. We verify that we don't have any errors. We should now read the body. We should most likely do that. How should we do that? We should do that. Claims should be T like we create it like that, and no, before we do that, body error io.read all rest.body, and then body rest.body.close, and when we've closed it, we should unmarshal it. Right. So now we have the body json.unmarshal body claims, and then we should fail if we have an error. And now we should have the claims nil. Let's see what happens. And we have some kind of error here. Alright. Get OIDC metadata. That's not the... So that's metadata. Yes. Metadata dot something like that. Alright. What does the test say? Undefined. Well, I'm so sorry. Keyhandler.test. Oh. We should go back to what we did here. User info endpoint is empty. Let's just print the body here. Discovery metadata string body bytes. User info endpoint. Oh, well, that does explain it. Right, so we do get the URI, we get the metadata here, and should be true. Well, let's see what we actually receive in the response as well. Let's just print it here. Claims. So we have the sub the given name, the audience. So let's take a look at, well, let's check sub. Opaque test. Sub. And the sub should be test. All right. Our first test is working. Well, that's awesome. Body. New request. Yeah, we shouldn't be doing this. So we get the claims. We make sure that we get the sub and that it works. Let's do that once more. Well, that's awesome. Now we have the initial test working. I think we should call that a great initial success, and let's commit the changes. And I will commit them while you don't have to look at it. So thank you for checking this out today. I hope you found it fun. I did, and it will be interesting to continue this another day. Well, thank you so much for watching. Bye.